So going back to the idea of the little ones with the pots with the bats being made as their own separate thing, that's what you call a microcosm, isn't it? That you could take out, maybe not a new product like that, although ideally it would be, but you could take out a small part of what you already do. A bit like when we went to cellular manufacturing, group technology, when we would just take out one machine, one person of each type into their own. So presumably that would be a way that you could, in a low risk way, try this out. So let's suppose you were, say, making websites or whatever. You could take out a little microcosm and you could just take out, one developer, one designer, assuming they're different things, I think they are, and one salesperson, say, and they could be their own little microcosm, little sub-cell, and say, okay guys, you can sell what you like, make what you like, and have half the profit. And would that be how you would sort of get a start? And maybe when that's going well, you could take another right, and once you've taken a certain number out, you wouldn't need the accounts department anymore. And you wouldn't need purchasing anymore, and then things would get interesting. But would that be a way to gradually transition?
Yes, so absolutely yes.
I got that from you before, but I was checking I'd really understood it. Not claiming to be clever.
It's a very safe way of doing it.
Yeah.
And for us, it came from this whole lean introduction, where we looked at a lot of lean tools to improve our production efficiency. And they didn't really work. But when we were reading the old books by Taiichi Ono, the father of lean, if you like, he was big on this co-located multifunctional team to supply a particular outcome perhaps to a particular customer.
Right.
Well, it could be an internal customer in the case of Taiichi Ono.
Could be, but nevertheless, he saw that was key, and things were much more efficient, basically because the communication and logistics was a lot simpler. So we tried that, and we called it a microcosm rather than just calling it cell team, because it was better at capturing the idea that we had other functions like bureaucratic functions in that team, rather than just different production machinery.
But your microcosm could be just one person
now
you take out and say you could sell and make. But normally it would be 2 or 3, would it?
Well, you can. No. It can be as many as you like, really, as long as it is has all the functions in it. A multifunctional co-located team. What we found is we did that with quite large teams at the time for us, and it was successful. But to a degree, that was because the people wanted to do it. We didn't force it upon people.
You took out the best people, you mean?
We took out the people who wanted to do it, who wanted to give it a go.
Yeah.
So we did that, and that left the larger group, and that worked well. And we had to develop some systems so that they could function separate from the rest of the business. The systems.
Mm.
And that, like the telephone system, so their phone rang rather than the switchboard phone rang. So we did that, and we developed the systems, and then we did it again, perhaps with less enthusiastic people. And because we had the systems already, that one was much quicker and much safer. We weren't exploring along. We were just able to do it. And we did it a third time, and that worked well. And of course, what was left was also a sort of by default, was a team as well.
Yeah.
And what we saw is some of these teams, as we split up, weren't very good, and other teams were very successful. And that could have been because of product lines and customers and prices and suppliers and the people inside. And then we made the leap of saying, what if we were to divide one step further, like halve each team, like the way bacteria split up, we'll divide them. And what we found then is a team that weren't doing very well, when we split them in half, we had one team who did well suddenly, and then a team that did very badly. So every time we split it, we seemed to be isolating where the problem was.
Yes, you're homing in on the problem person.
First of all, we had this problem with, perhaps it's a bad supplier or bad prices or bad customer. And then we split up and we could make a profit out of it now. But over here, we had still even more of a loss.
So how did you split it? Because if you've got one designer, one production person, a finance person or whatever, how do you split that down further? They must have to start to do more than one role. Or were your initial teams like 2 or 3 of each type of person?
Well, we achieved that by providing, we're talking about moving the fulcrum, and what we did is we provided them with a profit incentive, so a percentage of the profit, about 20% of the profit they could take home as a bonus instead of overtime or anything. And that shift meant that anybody in their team who was a bottleneck, like a designer, you'd find other people then saying, well, but I can help you with that. And pretty quickly, that team would multi-skill between them. So if the phone was ringing, but the salesman was on another call, they'd pick it up.
Yeah.
Because it was in their best interest to do so, because they knew the phone call was for them. So as you move the fulcrum, you shouldn't have to say to people, oh, you should learn to do this extra skill.
Yeah.
They should be doing it because they've got an eye on the fact that
anyway.
They could double the profit if they did that. And so as things progressed, the cells which were most keen on innovation and change, you could see they were getting rid of all their backlogs and then being profitable and then reducing the time they were working and then being even more profitable. And then even some people would move out of one cell and start another one, or want to go on their own to do a particular job. There's all sorts of things that started to churn. And our organisation looked like a load of people like you who were saying, how can we change things?
Yeah.
How can we mix up so it's better? Rather than people saying, how can we keep it going the same?
Yeah.